This is an emergency broadcast of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. This is not a drill. Remove any children and pets from your home and go to your nearest shelter. Remember to at all times listen to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. And whatever you do, do not under any circumstances trust what you see.
Right in the middle of a yawn.
I think last time was the middle of a real big cough.
Yes, it was. Yeah, that was great. So yeah, no, I had
Take it away.
I had terrible food poisoning. There was some vomiting. There was some stuff coming out from the other end. It was a lot of fun.
Both ends, huh? It was like both very liquidy.
Yeah, there was a point where I was sitting on the toilet and I had a trash can in my hands at the same time. So it was rough.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm laughing. I mean,
No,
I know how it is. I've been food poisoned before, and it's the worst experience. It really feels like you're dying.
Yeah, it was one of those things where as I was eating the food, I could tell, like maybe subconsciously or something, but I could tell there was something wrong. But me being me, I ate it anyway.
Yeah, my wife tells me that all the time. She goes, "Smell it first, and if it tastes wrong on your tongue, just spit it out. Like, don't continue." But sometimes I do, and I regret it. Like I did that the other day. There was something in the fridge that was there. I mean, I didn't get food poison, but there was something in the fridge. It's probably been there for too long, and I ate it. And while I was chewing it, I was like, I shouldn't be chewing this, and then I swallowed it. I swallowed it, and I still went. And I'm like, how long has this been in the fridge? She's like, yeah, throw that out. She's like, I hope you didn't eat that.
This is why we need to become royalty. That way we can hire professional tasters to taste our food to see if it's been poisoned or not.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, that is the best way to live. I mean, and then you watch those guys. I mean, if those guys like die, what happens? That's it. That's the risk he took for his life. He that's his job. He risked his life for you.
Well, I hope they're compensated well.
Yeah, you're right. Their families probably get paid.
Weirdly enough, on that note, I came across a website where you can buy a plot of land in, I think it's Scotland. It's like it's 1 by 1 foot. It's a very small piece of land, and you become a lord.
Look at that! You become a lord.
You can do that. So we could be Lord Adam and Lord Topher. And this could be the Lord Uncovering Anomalies podcast. Welcome, everybody. Sweet transition.
Yes. Oh, yes. And let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another great episode of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. UAP. And you might hear me from time to time trying to hold down a burp or two. As Adam and I were discussing, I had some pretty bad food poisoning yesterday, and I'm still kind of not 100% yet, but we're getting there.
Well, that sucks, man. I mean, so was that yesterday?
It was yesterday. Yep. It completely made my weekend less enjoyable, but it happens.
Well, you're here. Thank you for being here. You didn't use it as an excuse. It just shows our listeners that we are dedicated, and we're here every week. So subscribe, follow us. We won't let you down. We're here to bring you the best in UAP news, and I guess anything else what's it called? They're calling it deep politics now. You have the facade of the mainstream media and Congress, but then you have deep politics, which goes on beyond and behind that.
Yeah.
So you did not have a chance to listen. Well, there's only one thing that I think is the most important thing that I sent you, but there are, small things here and there that happened. And it is a timeline because we do send each other things as they happen, from our last episode onwards.
Yes, we do.
Some of them are less important than others, but still they are newsworthy. As humans, we do forget what happens in this world. There's so much going on, and they know that, right? The controllers know that we have a 2-week span. I think it must be much less now because I'm looking at stuff I sent you. I'm like, I don't even. Was that really last week?
Yeah.
So me myself, my memory is not that good of what happens either. It all just meshes together, and I like try to grasp on to like one or two things, and everything else is just gone. So it sucks that way that we have our minds are that way, maybe naturally or maybe they've evolved since technology and stupid social media made it worse.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think social media really, it either hacked into that part of our brains where we're very short-sighted, or
Yeah.
it conditioned us to be short-sighted like that.
Well, here's the first one. I got it queued up here. Apparently, we do have issues with funding the government, right? But
Mhm.
the UAP office
Director
has been fully funded. So here's a clip here where there's a hearing going on, and Congress is taking this seriously. Which is the reason why we're sharing this, is that with all that's going on, that's difficult in the market and the economy, and I don't know what, and wars.
Yeah,
sucks.
banks collapsing.
Yeah, exactly. The empire collapsing around us, and
Yeah.
this is happening, and it sucks because no one's going to notice this. No one. And if you tell them now with all the problems going on, they really don't care, and it sucks.
Last year's Intelligence Authorization Act, Senators Rubio, Warner, Heinrich, Burt, Blunt, and I created the ARROW, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, to break down the stovepipes between the intelligence community and the military regarding unidentified aerial, marine, and other phenomenon, which could pose a risk to the safety of our service members, as well as collection risks against sensitive facilities and overseas military bases. As recent events have shown, we need more and better sharing between the intelligence community and our military, and the stigmatization of the service members and personnel who come forward with this data is unacceptable. Do I have a commitment from you and each of our witnesses that you will work to reduce stigma, share intelligence between agencies, and as you're able with the public to ensure that we understand what's happening in our skies and seas?
Yes, Senator, absolutely. And I agree with you that this is an issue, and it's something that we've been trying to work through, both by sending the message from leadership that this is important, but also creating mechanisms that allow for people to do this more easily and with less.
That's the director of national intelligence. I mean, these are the top. I think even the FBI is there that she's asking. So these are top dogs that are answering this question.
Sort of stigma associated with it.
And is the ARROW office fully funded in your budget?
Yes, I believe it is.
Can you make sure, because it was left off last year,
So-
from both the DoD and Intel's budgets?
So it's in DoD, but I think our support is funded in the National Intelligence Program, and we'll check to make sure. On
So
the
everybody
DoD.
else can answer the question.
All right, so there's that. I mean, that's a big deal. She's been quoted before, I think a couple of years ago or something, but she's head of DNI, right? She knows, but she was quoted in another speech that she gave that this thing is real, and she said that it's non-human intelligence operating these crafts. So that's a big deal, I think.
I wanted to point out, early in one of the earlier shows, you had said the government takes us a lot more seriously than they like to let on, and this is just further proof of that.
Yeah, and I mean, some of them were nodding because there's a lot of, I don't know if you know about this, but like subliminal
Messaging.
things that go on. Yeah, messaging. But like, if you ask someone a question and they're like, they're shaking their head instead of nodding, but they're saying yes. I think we saw this happen with one of them. Just what I was seeing, I never really looked into that. But when she asked the question, I think somewhere. No, anyway, yeah, that's not important. But now it's funded, and Congress is asking this. I guess it wasn't funded last year, but I think it's a pretty big deal.
I doubt that. I really doubt that.
They're still gonna cover it up. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll
Yeah.
get to that, and we'll get to the mechanism of why this is happening.
Mhm.
Now there was also someone on not Reddit, on Twitter took the path of the gimbal. Now gimbal is that footage from 2017, right? The USS footage off the coast of California. So, and you know how it rotates?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you see that one when someone took its path, and when it rotates, and so it's basically they're showing that what Bob Lazar said, how to use. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong or it happened or not, but it still matches what he said. Is that these gravity beams have to be pointed at the location, and then it brings that location closer to the craft. Like that. That's why it's so quick. So this guy was showing that's what this rotation does, and that's what it's doing. That wherever it rotates and points to is where it goes. So like the opposite of what we have, the opposite of what our ships do now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's such high science fiction concepts. Um, Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But it's just what I'm trying to say is the level of technology is on a completely different. You can't even measure it to our
Right.
standards. It's so alien out there. It's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I mean, does that mean that this could be one of ours? Sure, of course, especially that if we had a military contractor, talk about it. But here you can watch it. There's no voice. I mean, there's no sound though.
Mhm.
But you see this trajectory right here. So it's showing this trajectory. It's going, and I see where it's pointing. It's pointing right.
Right.
So, and that's where it's going. And then once it gets to the part where we need to turn, there it goes. It starts to like tilt the other way,
Mhm.
right here to the left, and then boom, that's when it takes off. There it is. So I thought that was interesting too, that someone mapped that out. I love when there's crowdsourcing and when it's what happens when you open up information right to the people. That's when you start solving information. When it's kept secret like this, that's why they don't solve anything.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say it's exactly why the government keeps shutting stuff like this down. They don't want us working together to look at. I mean, obviously look at them, but also look at stuff like this.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, so that's just another proof of Gimbal is really strange. It still could be one of ours. It's still. I'm not shutting that down at all. Especially that we're in 2023
Mhm.
and just looking at the history of this thing. He did have. Yeah. You want to say anything?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm torn on this one, especially about it being ours or being truly extraterrestrial,
Yeah.
dimensional, because the fact that we're seeing it every time something is released to the public by the government, especially the U.S. government, I have a tough time trusting it. This seems like technology if we were able to accomplish this seems like it's years ahead of where we would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I do think it's extraterrestrial, but I am a little skeptical that it is, just because I can't trust anything the government does or
Yeah,
says.
it sucks. And that's why we're here. And I mean, that's why I think they're actually releasing it because they know the public is completely just so confused about this subject. Even the people that are awake now, right? That say awoken late or way after the UFOs, right? Just saying like 9/11 woke them up or whatever it was in the 2000s and the internet, and they've gone down rabbit holes. A lot of these people have gone down so far that that space is fake, and that if anything the government says about aliens, that's all going to be fake, which is too bad. They don't take into consideration the entire history of this thing. So I would say, from what I see, is like 30% believe that, right? Another probably 30% believe that it's ours anyway, and then you have probably split 40%. There's a split thing if it's non-human intelligence and interdimensional. So you sent me this.
Okay.
Reptilian beings emerged during CIA's interdimensional experiments.
So I love this. Back in the 60s and 70s, our government was a lot more like psychedelic about what they were researching and stuff. And all these people who were doing remote viewing and all this other stuff, just weird out there stuff. In fact, if you've seen Stranger Things, this is kind of along those same lines, where they were trying to that was a real project. They were trying to study the Russians during the Cold War using psychic methods. Anyway, all these people who were put, they were under hypnosis, they were doing remote viewing, all this other stuff. All of them independently reported seeing reptilian-like creatures, which is where the whole reptilian thing comes from in modern media today.
So bizarre. And so, like you said, this was a CIA operation. It was an experiment, and it was kind of remote viewing in a way. And reptilians emerge. So just a nice bullet point here.
There's a lot of really interesting stuff if you look at all of the now released files that the CIA was doing during that time period. They were trying to do remote viewings of Mars and like all this weird stuff.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff.
And it's so cool to read about. I mean, who knows if it's real or just coming from the imaginations of these people?
No, I can tell you, because they trained them not to use it in imagination. Well, at least the course that I'm taking, is they force you not to use your imagination, and if it comes in, you have to put down the pen and restart. You're not, because you're right, the imagination comes in and ruins that. You need to use the subconscious, which is quick and immediate, right? If something takes you more than 2 seconds, you got to stop, and that's not real. Something like, not saying every one of them is good, but you think they are good if they're being paid by the U.S. government to do it.
It's such a bizarre thing that our U.S. government was spending money and manpower having people do stuff like remote viewing and remote viewing Mars. I mean, it seems like a lot of people are on drugs, or a lot of people, or they have access to information that the general public does not. The fact that they were actively researching stuff like this, which is
and they created protocols like this. There is a standardized military protocol of how to do this, and and I've been in military school before, and it's very similar to other things they do. They standardize things. It's crazy that those standardize something like this. But just to go to the bullet points of what came out, what they uncovered, the nefarious vertebrates have controlled and enslaved humanity for millennia. Did David Icke get it from here? So are you saying that's not an original thought? They exist and operate in the fourth dimension and are only visible to individuals who can see beyond our extremely limited spectrum of visible light. Again, sounds like David Icke. Reptilians feed off our spiritual life force, which Monroe called loosh. Negative, low vibrational energy is essential to their survival. Is that why we suffer? These parasitic entities,
really quick, the thought behind that is they suffer off of our negative emotions for whatever reason. They're in some sort of plane where when we feel something negative, they feed off of that. That's a lot of alien theory. And interdimensional theory, where and Adam and I have kind of broached this subject before. Something that's truly alien that's coming into our reality, you have to understand how weird of a concept that is, and we can't truly understand it. So to me, something feeding off of negative energy is not that far-fetched of a concept. I just want to say that really quick.
And it makes total sense, and it's totally alien because they're like opposite, or these and what is it, like they're parasites. So these parasitic entities see Earth as a massive farm where they harvest human fear, hatred, anxiety, anger, and depression. Their intelligence is equal or superior to human beings. This elusive lizard-like race sees itself as rulers of mankind. Easy there, guys. Wow, that is just crazy.
Little do they know we keep them as pets.
Maybe that'll keep them away. If you actually keep like a snake or something as a pet, it might keep them away from the house. Who knows, huh?
Oh man, that's a cool thought.
I mean, because don't we have gargoyles? Aren't they kind of reptilian? In a way, like
a little bit,
yeah. That people used to put up on buildings and these things.
So actually, when I read that article, one of the things for some reason popped into my head is the Egyptians always they worshipped gods that were part human, part animal, right?
Yeah.
That's what that article made me think of, and it's depicted in a bunch of their hieroglyphs and pictures and the pyramid, even the Sphinx, right? Face of a human, even though the face on it right now is not the original face.
Right, exactly. They say it was probably a lion or something right before, and then a pharaoh came in and changed that to a human or to his.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. We always had protection, especially the Egyptians. Have you been to an Egyptian museum or?
I have. I mean, here in the States, I have.
Well, even here.
Not, right.
Because that Tutankhamun, he was in LA, and him and his whatever is all his treasures.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it was fascinating. And like you said, everything they have, everything, even small chests that they kept at home, everything was protected by magic. Everything was inscribed with magic, and it was all protection from the other realm. It was deeply in their daily lives, just protecting themselves from this realm. I think a lot of that superstition comes from Egypt that we have.
I was just going to say, I mean, just you mentioned magic, just the concept of magic. I think it came from, something along these lines. I mean, why has it been involved in every culture known to man?
Right, exactly. And magic yes, now we say magic is just technology that we don't understand, right? That's Arthur C. Clarke. But it can also be just another realm trying to peek through, or
Right, poking
uh,
its nose in here.
yeah, an
Do you
effect.
have? Do you happen to have the clip queued up that you sent to me on Twitter? And I said definitely save this for the podcast.
Let's see, which one
It's
is
from
it?
John Keel.
Oh,
where he's
yes.
talking. I feel like that's a good segue.
Yeah, his books are great, John Keel.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote all that stuff in his 70s and 80s, right?
Yeah, but
Books.
I actually just started reading the was it the Eighth Tower? I haven't gotten very far.
Oh, it's so good, dude. Yeah, I sent you that a while ago, huh? That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite ones. It's so good. So much, like a lot of his theories in there, it just so resonated with me. Especially at the end. I mean, yeah, and it's the way he came up with the Eighth Tower.
Don't spoil any of it, because
No, I won't. I'm saying just that concept of the Eighth Tower alone is so cool.
But anyway,
Okay.
this is a quote from John Keel. Looks like he's giving a little seminar here. We talked about Mothman prophecies last week, and this really sums up, basically what I've come to believe. This is a really good summary of all that.
Yes, take a listen.
This may not seem very Fortean to some of you, but everything is interrelated. And the more we study history and the more we study current events, we see that all of these things are linked together in strange ways. That the UFOs, as most of you know who have read my books, I don't think they're extraterrestrial at all. I think they're definitely tied to the human race, and that they react to things that are happening to the human race. I don't think they're vehicles. I think sometimes people see what appears to be vehicles, but they're really hallucinatory.
Huh.
And no matter how reliable the witness is, what they see can be questioned. The same is true in many of our Bigfoot cases and strange monster cases, that the people see some image that's planted in their mind, and the creature itself probably doesn't exist at all, at least not as the creature that's seen. When I was in India, I was impressed at the number of people who were seeing the Indian gods, multi-armed gods and all. Whatever your belief is, these manifestations are going to assume that form.
He doesn't look very comfortable saying that, though.
No. he definitely doesn't. But basically,
Yeah.
It is my belief that we as humans bring so much, whatever is happening, our brain and our memories and our thoughts and our feelings are being used to show us something. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right. Yeah, and it filters through our minds.
Yeah.
And that's why some people see Jesus, some people see Buddha, some people see extraterrestrials, and some people see even military. There's a lot of abduction cases where they say there's U.S. military personnel with the aliens.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of those abduction stories as well. Those kind of ones fascinate me.
Yeah,
that almost makes me think. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but that almost kind of makes me think that somehow the governments have found a way to manipulate like what we're seeing. And when people see like military personnel when they're aboard an alien aircraft, and they do see military personnel amongst the aliens, it kind of makes me think that for whatever reason, government are, they're doing the abductions themselves. I don't really believe that, but it's just a thought that I've come across.
Yeah. What's that guy from Arizona?
Talking about Fire in the Sky.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Walton.
Travis Walton.
Yeah, I mean they want military, but he had humans in there, and it was just weird when they brought in the humans. They brought them in to calm him down. That could have been a hallucination too. Like, okay, let's have humans come in, because they didn't speak to him either, right? When they came in,
they did not. For those who don't know, or have we talked about Fire? Okay, basically, Fire in the Sky.
I'll link it.
Fire in the Sky was a movie that came out. It's about this guy who got abducted. It's based on a true story, but the movie makes it a lot more scary than it was for him. In the movie, he's like floating around, and it doesn't matter. It's supposed to be scary. Basically, he wakes up on an operating table
Yeah.
after. Oh my god, we could do a whole podcast on it. He and his brother and a bunch of people he was working with are driving through the woods at night. They see a UFO. He kind of jumps out and gets under it, just kind of like just to be like,
Yeah, I was curious.
yeah, and it knocks him down. His brother and his friends drove away. He gets abducted. In our world, he was gone for 5 days. The
Yep.
cops thought he was murdered by his brother and his friends.
Yep.
He shows back up and tells
Naked.
everyone. Yeah, right. He shows up completely naked 5 days later, and what he said was after he got blasted by this UFO when he was standing underneath it. He woke up on an operating table, saw two small grays,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed like they were like fixing him up or something. I might be anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he scared them off. And
wait, he got really frightened for some reason. That the sedation didn't work or something, or whatever they usually do to us. Yeah.
And people, and just as a side note, people wake up under anesthesia all the time. Like it's a thing that happens. Human bodies are weird. Anyway, he wakes up. These two aliens are operating on him. They leave. He gets up and starts wandering around this craft. He comes across what seems to be some sort of navigational room.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then what Adam was saying, a human walks in, and the human was under a helmet and all this other stuff. And so when Travis Walton tried to talk to him, he wasn't getting a response back from the humanoid alien.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought it was because of the helmet. But anyway, the whole point is, he saw this human on another ship, and then he saw another one, a blonde woman, a Nord.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who know how alien
Nordic,
the different alien species,
right.
Saw a Nord who again didn't talk to her, and then he was again sedated and dropped
but it
off.
Worked. It calmed him down, and that's all he remembers, right? Then he was back down on Earth.
Yeah, his whole experience lasted. I mean, with his perception, his whole experience lasted like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But
crazy, man. It's such a crazy experience. And the guy, he's a big guy. I mean, or he's a lumberjack.
He's a logger, yeah.
Yeah, a logger, exactly. I mean, these guys not typically just going to make anyway, they did lie detector tests on all of them, and none of them really made money off of it. So I guess Travis did if he sold rights to
he sold movie rights. He made like 200 grand or something.
That's it. Oh well,
that's really not that much money.
No, especially not for Hollywood. Right.
The whole, I mean, the cops were literally they accused the brother and the friend. Well, I keep saying friends, or maybe it
was friends. Yeah, there's a brother, and then colleagues, because they work together.
Colleagues, yeah. They were accusing them of murder. Like they thought they had murdered Travis, and then he showed up 5 days later. No memory of where he had been.
So weird. What that's a crazy event. So apparently what he thinks now, or a lot of people believes, that there's like some electrostatic charge that happened that might have killed him, and they brought him back to life, and they did not want that response, and that's why they abducted him. Like they didn't abduct him just to abduct him. When he got close to the craft, there was some charge that happened that eventually killed him.
Yeah, but I mean, it just goes to show, and I think it totally goes along with what we were saying earlier. When you bring in half the phenomena, they use your memories and thoughts and feelings to try and rationalize what had happened.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because if you listen to that whole story, I mean, that's all human stuff. They were fixing him up. He saw humans. He was in a navigational thing. I mean, those are all things that a human could understand.
Yeah, the navigational thing, and that was back in the 70s. So we didn't have any touch screens. We didn't have any of that stuff. And he said that it was like a star map that he was looking at. And he was in a chair and everything. It was so crazy.
It is a very cool story. It is nothing. The movie is nothing like his actual experience.
No, of course. In true Hollywood fashion.
From what I can understand, all of the parts where he's not on the ship, that seems like it was pretty close. But when he's on the ship, that movie is nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the encounter was totally just bullshit. It was all scared. I think they tried putting like a needle in his eye. He's like, oh, it was a really freaky part of the movie.
Oh god, that movie actually is so good.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a horror movie. I love horror movies.
Yeah.
But the actual encounter is nothing like what he said happened.
I mean, they take liberties, I guess. You know, that's
You,
Hollywood.
you have to, because honestly, if you think about it, like his experience, while I mean it would be scary. I mean, it's really not something that would be scary on film.
Right. Yeah. No, of course not. It'd be just like weird, just bizarre, but
Yeah.
not horror.
Right.
Yeah. So they know what they're doing. You know, they know how to make money. They know how to know what people want to see. So
They know how to rape kids. I mean, this is Hollywood after all. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not. We're gonna get canceled.
no,
I'm sorry.
I think everyone's making these jokes. I think Gervais is gonna do the Oscars or something again. I saw something on Twitter.
No, they're not gonna
unless
let
he's
him
joking.
do it. He
Is
called
there-
everybody out.
It was so funny. It was so epic, man.
It was so good.
Yeah, you sent me this. So I listen to solar observers every morning. So, but you sent me this, and we did have a crazy blast from the sun, but it was going the other way. So when you sent me this that morning, he's like, "Well, we're lucky to be online because
All right.
it
Well,
was a huge blast." I got
now hold on, because you're talking to me, and I understand what you're talking about. I need you to talk to the audience a little bit.
Okay.
Explain what's happening right here.
All right, so this one you sent it to me. It's from Reddit, and they're saying it took 11 years, but it's happening again. Now, 11 years ago, maybe we should put up that one. Do I have it? Maybe not.
Honestly, it doesn't matter.
Oh wait, I'm not viewing. I'm not zoomed in on the here. Sorry, I'm showing the wrong one.
Again, I can see this. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm showing the wrong screen though because I'm zoomed into the thing.
Right, but I need you to sum up what we're talking about.
All right, so 11 years ago, there was a huge object that, we're always watching the sun, right? We have all these satellites watching the sun. So a huge object came in as big as the Earth, probably, or even bigger.
No, they say it's even bigger than, like, many
Jupiter?
times bigger than Jupiter. Yeah.
Oh my God! So this thing comes in and starts sucking energy from the sun, and then when it leaves, it's like a snapback. So you see it leaving, it goes boom. So that was 11 years ago.
It's crazy because when you watch the video of that original, whatever it was, sucking out something from the sun, yeah, you see this big ball float in, suck up plasma or something, or energy,
plasma,
who knows. They're sucking up something from the sun, and then you literally can see it leave.
Yeah.
And then so this just happened again.
It happened again, and that's the photo I'm actually showing.
Yep.
Yeah, do you see it? But
yeah.
Too bad there's no video of the thing.
Not this time. There is a video of it 11 years ago.
Yeah, so I need to cue that one up. So you sent me the video, and I'm like, whoa, did this thing happen again? Right?
Mm-hmm. Right. So I sent you the link for the original time that it happened, the first time that we've recorded it. Right. And then the day I sent you that thing, it had happened again, which is what caused me sending the first. I mean, you can see the plasma coming off of the sun and going into this, circular, whatever it is.
Here it is.
It's absolutely bizarre.
All right, so let's cue it up. It's right here. It's the bottom left. For those listening, he is going to speak.
March 11th, about 11:10 Mountain Time, 2012.
11 too.
Yeah.
What I'm looking at is a J Helio viewer using the SDO AIA 171 filter on the SDO spacecraft. My friend Sans Flare posted a video a couple hours ago about this observation he made right down here on the southeastern limb of the sun. Got a humongous plasma vortex extending from the sun out into the corona. And in the corona, there appears to be a round sphere, possibly two. If you look back here in the back behind this one, this loop is from yesterday. It's quite like that. I'm not saying the Earth did acrobatics, but see how it was horizontal and vertical. That's feeding a plasma sphere. Totally new one to me. It's very, very interesting to say the least. In the corona, it's also visible on the you can see it down there too. Object Sun, March.
Anyway, so that was 11 years
So,
ago.
I don't know if we're witnessing something extraordinary here, guys.
Yeah, we are for sure.
Or exactly
I
what
mean,
you
why
call
not?
this, but
Hold on, so pause it.
Yeah.
So the quote unquote scientific theory is that, and this is something that I'm assuming is real. I only know that it's real because I'm told it's real. There are, what are they called? Like tornadoes, essentially, that happen on the sun, but it's made of like what the sun is made of. They're
Right.
ginormous. I mean, these things, you can't even fathom how big they would be, and that's what the scientific community is saying that they are. Except in all of these videos of this happening, there's some giant objects at the end of it. Anyway, this happened 11 years ago. You kind of got a summary of it. Sorry, I'm about to hold on.
But you know, and there was a huge explosion that happened. At the same
What's it called? Corona. What?
yeah,
What? Basically, the sun shoots out
flare.
a bunch of radiation, and it like does little, like, it pops on one side, and a big
It explodes. Yeah.
thing of radiation comes out the other side.
Yeah, and these things could take out our civilization, and that's why, you know, there's a lot of suspicious observers. He's got a huge following. People are, I guess, it's in the prepper community too, and it's a kind of variation of what Rogan has. He has those guys on his show. Oh my God, what's his name? He has a show on Netflix now. He wrote Forbidden Gods. Oh, why?
No,
Why?
I'm blanking too. I know exactly.
Hancock.
Yeah, he was the one that did Ancient Apocalypse.
Yes, exactly.
I remember the name of the show. I can't remember the name of
the guy.
flipping guy.
Hancock and Carlson, and so they have it right, but you know, they keep saying we're hit by an asteroid, right? It was an asteroid, but what it really is, and these things do happen, and what social suspicious observers shows, and his well, he's his theory and his evidence, because he's a scientist, and well, so is Carlson, you know. So, but anyway, he's saying these are mini novas from the sun, so he's always watching, and we're due for it now. It happens every 12,000 years. So this thing happened when you sent me. It was at the same day that he reported this.
And geomagnetic conditions are equally moderate. But something in the data streams caught our eye and the eyes of NASA solar science specialists, and upon closer review, we are all very lucky to be online and having electricity at the moment. The story begins with the GOES proton flux, which we showed yesterday, hitting storm levels due to a far side CME, one that affected the Earth despite not being directly aimed at us. Yesterday, we had said it would wane away, but that didn't happen, and that's an indication that something tremendous did happen. The CME that left the sun 2 days ago, going exactly away from the Earth, and which produced a full halo CME on SOHO coronagraphs, has been clocked at over 3,000 kilometers per second. That is a Carrington level event, super flare power. If that had been aimed at us, we would already be suffering powerful geomagnetic storms and possibly a grid down scenario. We'll never know the flare rating of the far side event because our satellites can't see the opposite side of the sun, but suffice to say, a deep breath or prayer of thanks is warranted at this time.
Nuts, man. Just like that, we could have lost the grid. Just
so we are not scientists. We don't claim to be scientists.
Right.
But oh God, I'm sorry, man. I'm cutting this. I was gonna say something about the oh my God, the nova that bounces off the sun. Not bounces. Yeah, no, I'm cutting this. Forget it. Forget I said anything.
Okay. But yeah, I mean,
I had a thought about I think I already even said it earlier. Just, you know, stuff comes off the sun. Oh, that's all I was going to say, is that that's what the Northern Lights are, is the radiation coming off the sun and entering our atmosphere.
Right. Exactly. I mean, the Northern Lights is our geomagnetic shield, basically, that protects us.
Yeah.
And the sun rays are trying to penetrate, but they can't. But then we see these colors up in the atmosphere.
It's super cool. Have you seen the Northern Lights at all? Ever?
I did when I was in Montreal. It's beautiful. It's such a cool thing to look at. I mean,
It
it just
is
looks
really
like
cool.
ghosts and phantoms. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's definitely a really cool sight. I mean, we used to get them when I lived up in Montana. I think I only saw it like 2 or 3 times, but they happen pretty frequently. But yeah, that's just the sun's radiation being caught in our atmosphere. But this would have been, something like that times 1,000, 100,000.
Oh yeah, way more. I mean, yeah, if he's saying that, and he's not a scaremonger, because there's a lot of channels out there that like to scaremonger everybody, and he's always the one that calms everyone. He's like, no, don't worry, it's not that bad. So when he comes out and says this kind of thing, it's like, whoa, we are really lucky.
Didn't we talk about this one last week? The
We
cigar.
did. How come there must be something new that came? Oh yeah, it was just the people that released this.
So Adam has pulled up the cigar-shaped UFO that was filmed in, it was Iraq, right?
Yes, this is in Baghdad.
Baghdad, okay.
And yeah, they were leaked to him. We did cover this last time. It was the cylindrical cigar-shaped UFO. I think I shared this. It was done by the Daily Mail now. The Navy was notable. I'm trying because they quoted the Air Force personnel have told me that they are highly concerned that this phenomenon maintains a regretful stigma that inhibits proper reporting and response within the chain of command. The Air Force is an exemplary branch of our armed services. We should encourage greater UAP transparency for the good of the country in our participating services. So these guys, the only reason why they give it to people like Corbell is because he cares, like you said, within chain of command, there's still a stigma about it, and we'll get there. I don't know if you saw the Dolan video I sent you.
You sent it to me. I did not watch it. I saw.
You really should.
It's on my list of things to watch. You sent it to me when I was at work. It was an hour long, and I should have just been like, okay, I'll listen to it and I'll put it on as I'm working, but I didn't get to it.
Now, okay, it's a long one. So, and I wish I had the time just to have some timestamps on it. There is one important thing because it gets to the meat of it.
Pentagon doing an audit.
So this one's basically about 3 incidents that almost outed this UFO program. Okay. And the reason why he does the presentation is because Jack Vallée has a new book called Forbidden Science. And in there, he has his journals. And it corroborates exactly with what happened with the Wilson memo and the Wilson leak, right? That was one of the times it almost got outed. But he also, on this, he talks about that it was outed by a Pentagon CFO or the comptroller, the Pentagon comptroller who oversees the finances. He also outed this out. He not outed this out, but outed this by he saw a discrepancy in billing and projects that aren't on the books, and he went after it. But then there's an important one that the guys overseeing the special access programs is a special unit in the DoD that oversees special access programs, right? They found out there was a project there that they did not have access to, and they went and confronted these people. And it's just the story he tells about it, how they let him in. He finally saw it. They showed him, they took him a tour and everything. But after that, there was never a leak ever again. And because there was an agreement between this rogue group studying UFOs and back engineering projects and the DoD, that it will never happen again. Don't worry. Thank you for briefing us. Thank you for telling us what it is. We will be the gatekeepers, basically. Now, it's an hour show. I hope I have the right clip here. I think I do. Let's just give it a listen.
Of the special access programs within the Pentagon, finding apparently this type of a program here and concluding you're doing things that are really wrong and in fact totally illegal, and we're going after you. This is not right. We're not going to put up with this. That's what he's describing here. This is incredible. Let me just make sure I've got it all. They contemplated turning it over to justice for prosecution, but a powerful person in DoD quenched it, according to Vallée, how he writes it. We're going to delve more into this in a moment, and I think it's a bit more complex than that. But I think he's got the fundamentals correct here. And then Vallée concludes, he says, the program, according to the reviewers, had to do with an exotic, non-earthly vehicle. All right, so this is Bauscher. Now, let me just let's take you to Davis's notes here. We're going to return. I'm just going to quote from pages 10 and 11 of those notes. So Davis, of course, is interviewing Wilson in 2002. They're discussing it, and he's quoting Wilson, roughly speaking. Wilson says he's talking about the gatekeepers who he got to meet with, the gatekeepers of the alien reverse engineering program. They said they were formed out of necessity to protect themselves after a near disaster in the past almost blew their cover. Something to do with an agreement that was reached with a couple of Pentagon SESs, that's Senior Executive Service, basically personnel oversight, who were overseeing special access programs in those days. We're vague about when that was. He goes on. He says, this is again Wilson, years ago in past, an audit investigation led to them, and it wasn't supposed to, nearly outed. He goes on, a battle, a nasty back and forth between them and the investigator and his Pentagon chief ensued, like a tug of war for program transparency, they told me. Money was the issue.
Oh,
Their hiding
bullshit.
out became the other issue.
Hold on. Money
He says
money is never a problem for the government. Never a problem for the government, ever.
I know, right? I mean, I guess money to fund this kind of issue, might have been what they were trying to say. That's why it's hidden, right? And that's why, because maybe and people dismiss it. What are you talking about? Or or I don't know. Who knows? But it's crazy. And the guy got a tour. I think this is where it's going.
some kind of threat was leveled to blow the lid off them, so they backed down and let the investigator in to complete his job.
They let him in.
They worked very hard to keep program hidden. And I think Davis then says, well, what happened with that? And Wilson says he was officially briefed, given the tour, shown their program. Said after that episode, a formal agreement was struck with Pentagon people at SAPOC to prevent this in the future. Did not want to repeat.
That's it.
Special criteria were established in agreement. And he goes on.
All right, that goes into details. Look, there's an agreement now, or whenever that happened. There's an agreement, and basically the Pentagon got briefed in, right, or the special access programs guys, and that was enough for them. They got to know the truth, and they're satisfied. None of us will know the truth because now there's an agreement that. So all this thing, Arrow, and all these programs, and the Pentagon funding. That's what I wanted to get to. Is that it doesn't matter. There's an agreement between them and our Department of Defense. Even though they're a rogue group and it's illegal, I guess somehow they convinced our guys at the Pentagon that that's not going to happen again, and that's where we're at right now. We're still there. How are they going to renege on that agreement? I don't see it happening.
No, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, never going to happen. Not in this current form of government that we have. It has to be completely either come crashing down, right? Which we can see that's happening because that's what secrets do. And it corrupts. It's like a cancer. Or we have people in government that can just go in and renege these agreements because we do have that power. Obviously, it's the government, for God's sake. Who are these people? I don't understand how can you be more powerful than the U.S. government? How they're the ones that have all this, all the money. I mean, obviously these people are hiding money. They're doing it illegally. What do you say to these people who got access finally? These are humans like you and I, right?
Mhm.
That found this thing and went in there and got the tour and got briefed. What do you say to them to say this can't happen again? And they're like, okay,
Right. I mean, it's got to be something so,
yeah,
so dark and treacherous or just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other explanation.
Yeah, or it's like they're there to protect us too. Like this program has to be done like this. If it's done any other way, and it maybe ties into like the reptilians too, that we're like some kind of farm, or that they use us, and they're parasites, and maybe that's why our own elite have become a parasitic class themselves, because they know they're being, the same things happen to them or on society as a whole.
Mhm.
It kind of gives excuses to their behavior.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It all turns out, yeah. I mean, all of this stuff points towards, either once you get to a certain level, you just become a terrible evil monster, or once you get to that top elite level, you join their side or something. I don't know.
You got a call from this guy who's
Oh, this is Tucker. Even Tucker now, he's doing the tours, and I think because the media's after him and the government's after him, so he's actually doing good talks on, or maybe he's getting fired from Fox and he's making friends with the alternative media. I don't know why he's going on this.
Honestly, I don't think he'd get fired from Fox. Isn't he like one of the most watched
He is,
people
ever? Yeah, I think combined.
I think honestly, I think he's making a run for president. I think that's all this is.
Oh, okay. Well, he talks about UFOs here.
tenured Stanford medical school professor. He comes on and he's like, 11 years ago, the US government reached out to me because I'm an expert on head injuries, on brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries. And they had all these court cases from families of US servicemen, over 100, who'd been killed by UFOs. The Department of Defense was refusing to give them death benefits or medical benefits. And he's like, so they're in the courts. And I was like, there are over 100 servicemen killed by UFOs? Like, what? He's like, yeah. And there are court cases about it. I'm like, why isn't this on the front page of the New York Times? I don't know. And in a number of cases, these things have landed on military bases, including famously in Germany, in West Germany in the 70s. And servicemen have approached them. And they approach and they get traumatic brain injury or they're killed. And he studied their brains. He got
crazy, Tucker.
Once again, it's it just goes to show that whatever this phenomena is, it also, it interacts with us. We're part of it.
Yeah, exactly. We're part of it. And for some reason, I mean, these brain injuries, it could be radiation or something, but it could be just their minds going nuts when it comes face to face with this reality that's so alien.
See, that's what I think it is. Because radiation, it does obviously harm humans, but it doesn't affect just your brain. You can get a lot of harm from radiation. I really do think it's the other side of it. It's just human brain is unable to interact with whatever these phenomena are.
Yeah, I wonder if nature does that, and I mean, as the universe, when it comes to consciousness or very high consciousness, where consciousness needs to be separated from something else. I don't know. I can't put it in words on what I'm trying to say, but I'm just thinking where because or at least for me, when I was growing up and I was a kid, I did hallucinate a lot. I saw things when I was like going to bed, and and I knew that there were cartoons and whatnot. But I distinctly remember like when I turned 6, or there was a time where it was off. I never saw it again. Never saw any of them again. So it's like the brain saying, "All right, those aren't important. Let's focus on important things." To help you survive. Because if you go around hallucinating things, that's not really good for you.
Right.
Hell,
we've got a bunch of different medical conditions for those hallucinatory events.
Schizophrenia. I don't know, but what if schizophrenia is people just really hearing other, not anyway, I don't want to get into that, but I always felt that schizophrenia is not really a mental disease. Maybe these people are just sensitive to another realm or something. Because yes, it's sad. I remember reading the story of this kid that he's stuck in my mind. He had a journal, and poor kid, he was schizophrenic. He even heard the birds, and even the birds were laughing at him, kind of thing. And he wrote in his journal these things like, "Oh, he can hear us," and they'd be laughing at him. Oh, look, he's so stupid. I mean, he could have been really mentally ill. He ended up killing himself because of that. But he used to, like, I was saying, like, even birds were talking to him. And they were aware that he understood them.
I mean, it's really common. Schizophrenia obviously is a very terrible illness, and my heart goes out to those people. But yeah, no, there is something. I mean, that's it's just, I don't know. I'm thinking about like people who do shrooms or acid, and they start seeing stuff, and they said their
Mhm.
life changes.
Yeah.
They're looking into using acid for curing. Hold on,
Hmm. Yeah, for
alcoholism.
depression and alcoholism, yeah, all these things, yeah, addiction in general.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about seeing that other side or whatever. It helps or it hurts, obviously.
It can hurt, yeah, but and you're right. They're even using this for people who are afraid of death. They have cancer or some terminal illness, and they give them hallucinogenics to ease them into that
Yeah.
mindset that death is okay, and that it's just another. You're just moving on. So, but yeah, there's a lot of. I think Colorado is one of the first states to make that legal, mushrooms for therapy and acid.
Mhm.
So speaking about all this secrecy and corruption in our government, and and missing trillions and spending on whatever you want, I'm sure everyone knows that we're having a crisis, a bank crisis, all over again. SVB Bank. This is just one of the banks now that have collapsed last week. Did we talk? We talked about this last week, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but now there's a lot of people coming out and are saying that this is manufactured, or not. Sorry, not them collapsing is manufactured. It's not like the Fed knew this was going to happen, right? We did speak about this. That's right. The mechanism, what's going on. But see, they're making things worse by bailing out these depositors. And now it's not just Silicon Valley Bank; it's Silver Lake. It's like 4 or 5 now that this is happening to. Bank of America got $30 billion in new deposits. People moving away from small banks. Guess what Bank of America did? It turned around and deposited in those regional banks. So all you depositors that are afraid of the regional banks and went to Bank of America, don't worry about it. Bank of America took care of it.
Unreal.
Yeah, they kept it in there, I guess, so systemic collapse doesn't happen. But a lot of people are saying that this is all going to make it worse, what the Fed's doing, bailing out people, and it's going to lead to central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. And basically, that'll be the end of human freedom if this happens, because this is how social credit is going to enter Western society. We all know that China does it, right? Social credit system. But with CBDCs, this is programmable money, and it will come with whatever the woke oligarchs are pushing, which is climate change, which and if it's climate change, it goes into what we eat, how far we drive, if we travel or not, all that stuff. And CBD programmed with that.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly is completely terrifying. Imagine if you say the wrong thing online. And I'm not saying like you put your Klan hood on and you're rallying against anyone who's not white. I'm saying if you say something against the wrong political party and you put that online, your bank account gets completely shut down. And then you can't buy anything. You can't pay rent. You can't do all this other stuff. I mean, that's the future that they're working towards.
Yeah. And talk bad about the government, just say anything wrong. Like, you're not going to get your money this week. And it could be why AI is being launched too, right? I mean, people are going to be out of jobs, unfortunately. Once AI is really rampant, and it's, now it's in Microsoft 360, right? The Microsoft Office 360, you can use it now, and you can say, make me a presentation based on this. You can have an Excel sheet that has all this financial information to say, what are the most profitable products? And it comes up in seconds. You don't need analysts anymore.
Yeah, it's completely nuts.
Or assistants. This was a viral clip on, I got it from TikTok. I shared it on Twitter. It's got over 85,000 views. And it's been shared everywhere, but this guy is on the money. It's just 2 minutes. You need to listen to him. I don't know if you did or not.
Yeah, no, let's put it on.
He's really good. It really went viral. It's still going crazy.
So I put 10,000 into the bank. They take my 10,000 and they go get 100,000. They borrow it from the Fed window. They get 10 times the amount of our deposits that we put into the bank. They then get 10 times the amount. They then take that 10 times the amount and they put it into treasury bonds or something else that's going to give them a yield of 7% or 6%. While they pay us what? 0.0000 nothing percent. Right. And then what happens? We get hip to it and say, hey, Mr. Silicon Valley Bank, have my money back? Oh, we don't have it right now. I want my money back. I don't have it. Everybody, I want my money back. Give us our money back. Hold on. We got to go sell the treasury bonds that we invested in that now are upside down because the rates are through the roof. And I don't have your money. So what has to happen to their Ponzi scheme that I would have went to jail if I did that? They get bailed out. Mr. Biden comes up and says, oh, I'm going to print more money.
Evil fucks.
I wonder why he's going to print more money. To devalue your dollar even more. Because guess what they're doing next to you? They're going to centralize banking. They're going to own crypto. They're going to regulate everything to be digital. So this is the first step to doing it. And they're going to own us. We got to wake up because that's what's happening. And next, there's a war going to go on between China or between Russia, and we're right in the middle, right? And then you look at these companies like BlackRock. Does anybody ever hear of BlackRock or Vanguard? Oh, how coincidental. Since 9/11, you own everything. You own everything. You own Pfizer. You own Moderna, just coincidentally, but we don't know who the hell you are. You're never on TV. But you own Apple, you own Facebook. So you own everybody's identities, everybody's information. You own Smith & Wesson. You own manufacturers of guns. We're going to war. It just seems you're everywhere at the right time to make all the money. And you're the biggest company in the world, but you're never on the news. We never hear about you.
Oh, man.
I mean, the game... all of it, all of it. We've been bought and sold. The American people, the people of the world have been, everything. It's such a sad life we live. I'm trying to be more positive about things.
Well, it's hard to look at that and be more positive. I guess the positive thing is that, look, a lot of people have woken up to this. And, I think the positive thing is that there's a lot of sharing. There's a lot of comments. There's a lot of, I don't think I've seen that a year ago or 2 years ago. There's no way that would have completely went over everyone's head, and to see it shared so much does give me hope. Because people are asking,
Right.
well, okay, what can we do? And I guess the message here is mass noncompliance. Just how we did with COVID, the mass noncompliance. The same thing with CBDCs. Just don't get into it. Don't do it. Don't. Just say no. Because once that's in, that we're all screwed. We will be in a prison that I don't think we can ever get out of. Seriously.
See, I have much more, as is my nature. I have a much more cynical view of that. I say it's already too late. The only way this ends is, all right, I got to do that thing again where I got to explicitly say this is not a call to violence. I don't want anyone listening to this to go out and do anything. I mean it. Don't do it. But the only way this ends is if we, get violent.
Yeah.
I won't get specific. I think I've already said too much.
But yeah, I mean, and I think and mass non-compliance is a way.
But see, okay, I'll argue with you a little bit and say, you said mass non-compliance with COVID. I don't think. I mean, it got us out, but how long did that take?
It took a long time.
It took a long time. It took years. Literally years.
Yeah, it took a
but
war.
See, if we had brought back tar and feathering and stocks and put any politician in those stocks and then tarred and feathered them, it would have ended a lot quicker. Again, not a call to violence. Just want to state, not a call.
No, it's not. And what's crazy is that this still goes on. This is what baffles me, right? We can see the signs everywhere. We can see it's collapsing. But then always technology and the military get their stupid funding and they get their projects, and it just never ends. They don't say, oh, it's all collapsing around us. Could we stop asking for billions of dollars for research, And there's articles like this. DARPA funded the electric sky on threshold of aviation revolution with whisper beam. Have you read this one?
You sent this to me. Yeah, I did actually read that one.
So that was 4 days ago, and it's called Electric Sky, and it's obviously it's DARPA, but it's called Whisper Beam, and it's designed to send power wirelessly to vehicles while in flight using only radio waves. So that's what our government is working on.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing we were talking about. Centralized banks. You can only use your money if you do and everything. If you do anything that the government goes against, they can stop you from using your money. Same thing with cars too. If you go against government anyway, they can stop your car from moving at all. I mean, it just makes me. I can't even talk. It just makes me fucking sick.
I know that's so rigged.
We are so screwed, and the people have been brainwashed and beaten down. I mean, we're slaves to the government.
We are slaves to the government, and when people start to wake up, they try to slam another enslavement. It's always more technical. Like CBDCs is so advanced when you think about it, and the system that's going to be in place that they've been building since COVID, right?
Mhm.
It's going to be such a, like Alex Jones would always say. I don't know how premonition he is, or if he's an agent. I mean, he had a site years ago called Prison Planet. I think he still uses it. I'm not sure if he uses Prison Planet anymore, but that was one of his domains. Yeah. There's some good news, and it might be a sign how the empire is collapsing. So here is this, which I was shocked to see. Yes, it is CNN, but it's showing, against all odds, against the giant machine, the international community, the Goliath mainstream media, the army of journalists, the billions of dollars thrown into Israeli propaganda, only for it to crumble against the one thing Palestinians have, the truth. CNN poll: Are your sympathies more with Israelis or Palestinians? Palestinians 49%, Israelis 38%. Only 13% said no opinion. But this 6 months ago even would have been way more than that. This is just crazy to see it going on, and then we see China brokering deals with Iran and Saudi Arabia. Who's the other one? Russia brokering deals between Turkey and was it the Kurds or something? But so a lot is changing. Where are we in this equation? Nowhere. So the empire is crumbling. That's what I want to say. There's a lot of signs there. People are leaving the empire in droves. Even the Saudis.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen to that country, Israel, but even internally, things are bad. Really bad.
We could speak on it further if you and I want to lose our lives.
Yeah, we will.
I can't remember who said it, but if you're not allowed to criticize a certain group, they're the ones in charge. I think that is very applicable to this topic. So I will say nothing.
Gotcha. Yes, but it is a CNN poll, so no opinions there. Just wanted to include it in there.
It is really nice. I mean, there's definitely there's one side that are the oppressors and one side that are the oppressed. I think I've already said too much.
Yeah, but the reason why I bring it up is it's just another sign of
time. Yeah, no, I agree.
This empire of lies, and for me, it's good news. Just as long as we don't let these people rebuild, it has to be us, the people, that rebuild it, and not even rebuild it. Just go back to, the Constitution and get rid of everything that was built upon that, just chipping away at it for 200 years.
Yeah, that's the dream right there. But we are well over our timeline.
Okay.
Yes, and I've got stuff to do, as I'm sure you do as well.
All right. So, okay, cool. Well, this is a good episode. I had a feeling coming into it, I'm like, oh my God, is there nothing to talk about? And there is. So there you go with the memory again.
So I thought we were going to speak with your sister-in-law this week.
Oh, not yet. There's still issues, family issues.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I've heard a little bit about that, but I won't say anything on air.
Yeah. Once everything's okay and everything's stable again, we'll get her on here.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, my bad this week not coming in prepared.
No, man, you did good.
Oh, thanks, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Of course.
Well, I want to thank you all so much for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. That is Adam. I am Topher. You can find us on Twitter at UAP the podcast.
Yep.
And I'm Topher it all. Any final thoughts there, Adam?
Yeah, please reach out to us. We'd like to have you on the show if you have any experiences. There was someone that's on Twitter that has a really cool account. I like his takes, like his perspective on things. I did invite him on the show. I didn't hear back from him. I think he wrote someone else, some big account saying, "Oh, I've had experiences." I think someone asked, maybe it's Alien Scientists. One of the accounts asked something about experiences, and he was on there. I'm like, come on the show, but he didn't. He didn't react. So,
well,
we do encourage that. I mean, yeah,
maybe he will. That's still cool stuff. I mean, we're pretty involved in the alien Twitter, UFO Twitter space.
Yes, we are. So
And
reach out.
We're always, we're always ready to. There I go, burping again. We are always ready to hear your guys' stories and have you on the show if you're willing. And always, as always, please give us some feedback. We'd love to hear
give
it.
us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. Should we do it another way? Should we be more professional, I guess? Since you always bring that up, Topher.
Should we stop speaking out against the government and governments across the world? No, I'm okay. We'll never do that.
No, we won't. We're too American.
No.
All right, buddy.
All right. Well, cuz it was good talking to you.
Talking to you too.
And for all of you fan listening, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yep.
We'll
Dan, see you next week.
We'll see you next week.